Sani Shar, my little Druki, spears and shields. Welcome back to Total War Warhammer 2, where the instruments of Kane's wrath march to war against the hated Azor. Dark Elves vs High Elves 2v2 faction war on the way, 40 unit cap armies, playing with only creative assembly employees, so you know it's gonna be a crazy battle. Altars of Kane, War Hydras, Brides of the God of Murder, Executioners, and the corrupted Black Dragons of Naggaroth are here in force to enslave and despoil their lesser kin. But I think the High Elves are going to have something to say about that. The Silent Guardians of the Shrines of Azurian, the Phoenix Guard, are here in number. There will be a lot of armor and physical resistance to cut through, and there's overwhelming ranged firepower on the field as well. Tons of Eagle Claw bolt throwers and archers, Lothern Sea Guard as well. The Dragon Princes of Caledor, hidden on the left flank in the woods in a very powerful position that can get around the flanks of those Druki tents. And that's a Burning Head. It's now a wind spell, no longer a vortex. And it actually did a pretty decent amount of damage there. Not ideal against heavily armored troops, but can definitely do some damage to more lightly armored stuff, like the Lothern Sea Guard. Big breath attack coming in from the Black Dragons. Sulfuric acid melting those Phoenix Guard in the front ranks. They're taking a lot of damage there. They only have physical resist, so I'm not honestly sure if that protects them from breath attacks, but Earthblood will try and keep them in the fight, while the Hydra lets it rip into the front ranks of the Phoenix Guard, and the Lore Master of Hoeth holds down in the center as well. The Hydra is looking to charge in, but that's not the engagement they're going to want to take against a bunch of Phoenix Guard in the front ranks with armor piercing and bonus versus large, and all that range firepower will be pretty scary for the Hydras as they stomp towards the main line. Now my Cold One Knights and the Dread Knights are going around the flank looking for some squishy targets in the back ranks to take out the archers and that overwhelming range firepower. But the Dragon Princes of Caledor have sprung their ambush, and the Cold One Knights were not ready for it. Big charge, punishing charge from the Dragon Princes of Caledor, and with those Cold Ones not getting their charge bonus off, that ambush was executed perfectly on the left flank of the Azor, and it could be a disaster for the Dark Elves cavalry force. Hydras are wading into melee now, backed up by Harganeth Executioners, and they have made it through the Phoenix Guard front ranks, but probably took a decent amount of damage there as the Hydras continue to pour in the fire with those devastating breath attacks. Some friendly fire coming in for the bolt throwers, and the Cauldron of Blood, the Altar of Cain atop it, praising the Lord of Murder, wading through the Lothern Sea Guard in the back lines. Dark Elves deep into combat now, and this is an interesting matchup. Masters of the Sword versus Masters of the Halberd, defensive masters versus offensive masters, and we're gonna get a good look at some of those new halberd animations. Very flashy, very cool looking, nice stuff right there. So Hydras will turn that engagement probably in the favor of the Dark Elves, but in the center, those Phoenix Guard are holding real strong, and there are a lot of them, and they are shoved up all the way to gold. We're using a lot of funds in this battle because we're doing a faction war, and you gotta do a faction war right. 40 unit cap, lots of gold, always fun. But the Dark Elves have overwhelmed the right flank of the High Elves. They're kind of pushing through the woods right now as the Dread Knights and the Cold Ones stomp through. Hydras are definitely going to be great line breakers for the Dark Elves, and they have successfully broken through the spear line as the Black Dragon begins melting the lines with that sulfuric breath, the corrosive acid spewing out of its mouth. Those High Elf spearmen are not going to be able to hold for very long. More Cold Ones charging in, and given the monstrosities they're currently faced with, how can you stay disciplined when a 10-ton flying nightmare is melting your face off and your friends are being eaten alive by ginormous armored raptors? Not a good time. Murderous Prowess has activated as the Dark Elves revel in the slaughter. Increased melee attack and charge bonus going to seriously benefit those Executioners. They're going to begin decapitating those bolt thrower crews, and the High Elf flank is beginning to buckle under the weight of the assault, especially with these shock troops in the front ranks and the Harpies getting those rear charges off. It'll be tough for the Azur there. But in the center, things are a little bit different. The Shard Dragon flying overhead with those powerful breath attacks, dealing with some of the Hydras. And the Phoenix Guard have definitely caused some serious carnage in the center as the Dragon Princes have come back from their disgustingly good engagement over on the left flank of the High Elf line, where they destroyed the Dread Knights and the Cold One Raptors with ease because they got their charge bonus off in a very well executed ambush, and now they're freer to go for those rear charges into the back lines of the Black Guard of Naggarond and into the back of the Dark Shards with the repeater crossbows. Getting those off the field will be incredibly important, and they have pretty much free reign right now. And last thing you want as a Dark Elf or a Skaven or a Lizardman player is to have a bunch of Dragon Princes of Caledor in your back lines, free to roam, free to charge, whatever the hell they want. These Phoenix Guards should have no problem dealing with the Dread Spears whatsoever, but does it really matter? Half the Dark Elf army, it seems like, has gotten around the flank, moving through the trees right now. Murderous prowess has definitely worn off by this point, I would imagine. But Cold Ones, Witch Elves, the Brides of Cain, and the Dread Knights have made it into the soft, squishy center of the High Elf line, where the Boltor crews, where the Archers, where the Lothar and Seaguard are, where the Shades can even get into melee now. Shades must have been Vanguard deployed behind the enemy army, because they've gotten in there as well. And yeah, those Archers in the back lines are not going to have a good time as they get overwhelmed by the Dread Knights and the Dark Elves in general. The Hydras, though, are surrounded by Lothar and Seaguard, who do have a bit of armor piercing, and they do have bonus first large. It'll be a tough fight for the Hydra. Does have great regeneration. Morathi, overseeing her children, overseeing the carnage of the battlefield, looking to cast some spells and shift things more in the favor of her brethren. It's a bit unfortunate, but she does have Isabella von Karstein disease, which means she literally never shuts the hell up in replays. Thankfully, it doesn't affect her casting prowess in any tangible way. Druki are gonna need her to make an impact here. Teaming up with that Black Dragon, they could definitely go to work on that Star Dragon, possibly eliminate the threat. The Cauldron of Blood is in the middle of a bunch of Phoenix Guard. I honestly do not know if that counts as large or not. I do not know if the Cauldron of Blood is classified as a large mount. It does seem a little bit weird that halberd stabbing the Altar of Cain itself would cause more damage to it, but I really don't know. It's one of those things that's maybe hidden in the files. We got Dragon and we got a Star Dragon and a Black Dragon going off on each other right now. Getting a nice little combat animation there that we showed at the beginning of this video. It is so awesome. I love those new match combat animations for monsters. There are some really cool ones in this game, and seeing a Star Dragon and a Black Dragon duel, just not something you get to see every day. Really cool to see that. Yeah, the Morathi and the Black Dragon and the Hydra all teaming up on the Star Dragon with some Cold Ones in there as well. And the Star Dragon is still holding on for dear life and hasn't died. I haven't done the stat comparison yet, but I want to say that Dragons have maybe 25 to 35% more HP than they had in Game 1, which is a very nice change. Makes them a lot tankier, while the Cold One Knights eviscerate some Lothar and Seaguard in the back. But they really don't want to be fighting Tyrion here, and he's actually dismounted. No Malhandirin with a single swipe of Sunfang, slaughtering 3 or 4 Cold Ones in a single blow. That's fun to watch, man. But in prolonged melee, there's absolutely no chance these Cold Ones are going to do well against Phoenix Guard and Lothar and Seaguard. Too much bonus first large there. It's a serious problem for them. And that unit of Cold Ones will fall and rout from the field. The Phoenixes still patrolling together, causing terror wherever they land. Pretty cost-effective use of terror. I think the Flame Spire is only 1,600 gold or something. So definitely a good use of funds there to get some aerial superiority. Black Dragon and Morathi, the Hag Sorceresses of Grond, landing on the Star Dragon, who is still surrounded by those Dread Knights, but Star Dragon's still at half HP somehow. Very, very tanky. Flock of Doom going off. And the Phoenixes are teaming up with the Phoenix Guard to deal with the Hydra. And again, not where a large monster wants to be. It doesn't matter that it has that much regeneration. When you're dealing with halberd infantry with that much armor piercing and that high melee attack of almost 50 while martial mastery is active, it's a serious problem for them. And the Dark Elf Assault is starting to lose a little bit of steam here. Oh my god, that was awesome to watch that Hydra just unseat a Dragon Prince. Maybe draw and quarter the horse as well. Halberds trying to surround it, and the Chariot's coming in to pin it in place. Might be hard to pull away, but the Chariot there and Pit of Shades will miss on the blob of Lothar and Seaguard. Morathi needs to be landing those spells if the Dark Elves want to turn this. Black Guard of Naggarond pushing forward, taking a few HP losses there, although I don't think that did very much damage to them whatsoever. Not enough time on that Pit of Shades to really do a real bit of friendly fire damage. But now this is a very iconic matchup. Phoenix Guard and Black Guard of Naggarond, the offensive halberds of the Dark Elves versus the defensive, tanky, and survivable, physical resistant Phoenix Guard. Dragon Princes of Caledor getting in there as well, but they don't want to be there. That's the last place they want to be, fighting aggressive halberd units with armor-piercing damage. Hydra unleashing those breath attacks, but there are so many Phoenix Guards still left on the field. Lothar and Seaguard still getting their shots in as well. And the Black Guard are surrounded as Tyrion anchors the line. The Defender of Ulthuan, teaching those Black Guard a thing or two about how to fight in close quarters combat. Rear charge coming in from the Dragon Princes. But if they get an attack order on them, they will melt very quickly. And we're seeing that right now. Those blue armored Princes of Caledor dropping so fast. But the Phoenix Guard are supporting them the best they can. And those Black Guard are in a very bad position, sandwiched between two very elite units of High Elves. Hydra is still around, still doing what damage it can. But the Dark Elves are in very, very bad shape at this point, as Sulphur River has been littered in the bodies of both sides. Big charge coming in, so satisfying. See the monsters push through the big blocks of High Elf infantry. But they have plenty of reserves at this point, and balance bar very much in the High Elves' favor, and they look to be in the ascendancy. The Dark Elves have anything up their sleeve? Can they turn this battle in their favor? Chariot coming in to pin the Hydra down. It's actually a very good way to deal with monsters. Kind of weird, and not a cost-effective way, but in a big battle like this, you use what you've got, right? And when you've got chariots, it's hard for monsters to push through them, and the Hydras will rout, and the High Elves will take the field. So that was not meant as a showcase of faction balance by any means. The game is certainly not balanced around 40 unit cap 2v2s, but to see the Dark Elves and High Elves go at it like that, on that scale, that's a treat to watch, so I definitely wanted to share it with you all. Plenty of micro mistakes in that battle, of course. Hard to micro on 40 unit cap, but by far the most devastating was my failure with my cavalry on the right flank. I was the player pushing through the woods over on the other side of the battlefield, and I completely lost micro on my cav. I was trying to protect CA Shu's right flank with my own cav because he didn't bring any, and CA Jim punished me heavily for it with a very well executed cavalry ambush with the Dragon Princes of Caledor, and things quickly cascaded downhill from there as they got into the back of our army and started hammering and anviling. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time. Signing out for now.